is gone, the way the last week is gone, and then last night's game, you're sitting today like, oh, they got to do this again tomorrow? Oh, God. And Charlotte's a favorite coming here. Favorite. You just have this feeling like, what's the point? Ugh. But got to play. Got to play. We'll get into last night's game a little bit. Again, you can sit and scream and do everything. I do. For what? I'll point out some stupid things. But I always say this, this game, you don't need to complicate it. Make shots, get stops. What it's always about, it's what it always will be. I don't care what generation, I don't care what era, I don't care what style of play. It's about making shots and getting stops. And you got to do that early in the game. You got to do it late in the game. And you know what happened last night? Philadelphia made shots, and the Magic didn't make shots. And the Magic didn't get stops, and Philly did, and Philly won the basketball game. And and the Magic now have to beat Charlotte tomorrow. We are 1 week out of the NFL draft. Chris came in this morning and said to me, I'm flying to Salt Lake City with you next week. And I'm like,
we're going to watch the draft together.
Huh. Really?
Yeah. We'll stay in the same room. We get like twin beds.
Huh.
Yeah.
First off, that would be just hilarious. That would be great. You know, like I look over on the plane, I'm like, what? You're like, hey, what's going on? Then we just sit, like, get a couple of subs and a bag of chips, just sit and watch the draft together, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll bring some Boegan's beer from Orlando to Salt Lake.
Wow.
That's right.
Well, you know what? We could FaceTime if you want next week during the draft.
You're going to be calling the baseball game. Don't do that to me.
Not Thursday night.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to answer the FaceTime, though. Yeah. Right. Better chance of me being on Artemis 3 than that happening.
You got me excited. I thought you'd be down. Come on, we can break down the Giants pick. Then we'll break down the Cowboys 2 picks. Or if they make a trade.
Chris is just fired up because he now is searching for mock drafts that have his Cowboys moving up.
No, I do the mock drafts myself.
I know.
I don't need to search for them.
I know you do. We'll get Cam Mellor coming up at about 10:35 with a week to go before the NFL draft. So we'll chat with him. Philip Rossman-Reich's going to join us. Orlando Magic Daily. He was in Philly for the game last night. I think he's going to join us from Philly, maybe at the airport. The 11 o'clock hour. We got more of the Magic that we're going to get to. History lesson coming up later today. I've been traveling. I haven't done a history lesson in a while.
Yeah.
Get a history lesson coming up later today. You can listen to this show on 96.9 FM, AM 740, live on the iHeart app from anywhere. And you can always listen on podcast form. Go where you get your favorite podcast, Time for the Beat of Sports on Demand. Subscribe, download, get available to you when you want to listen. You can watch us live on the stream. Gotta fix the lighting again.
What is up with you and lighting?
I don't know. I think somebody posted, like, they thought, like, I put makeup on to make me look like I got a tan. Like, yeah, that's me. That's me. You know what I did this morning? I was about to leave. And when you get to be my age, Chris, and by the way, Chris, nice shaved face today and everything, you know. I realized, man, like under my nose, I didn't do a good job shaving. I went back upstairs. Finished the job. Yeah, getting to the age I forget. Did I do the left side of my face this morning?
Can you go like a week without shaving? I want to see what you look like.
No.
Why?
No, I don't like it. I don't like it. I told you, I'll miss a day once in a while, but no, don't like it. Don't like it. Yeah, sorry, not going to happen. All right, all that and much more coming up on the program. First, everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? 1 Forrest 1.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CB's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great.
Oh, Mark, I got so many jokes I want to tell, but I guess I got to limit it to one.
Yes.
And this is the best one of the jokes that I got. What is a dinosaur's least favorite cleaning product?
I don't know, Chris. What is a dinosaur's least favorite cleaning product?
Comet.
I got it the first 2 times. I got it. All right. I mentioned this Kelly on the bridge earlier. This is the start of the basketball game. Magic and Sixers. This is back and forth for 4 years. Each other out, and the team kind of sets its tone. It just struck me of a jacked up crowd at Philly, and the Boston loss is why that game was there, and not a home game. And I'm not saying if the game was at the Kia Center, the Magic would have won last night, but they didn't play at home because of that Boston game. So that's how your night starts with a crowd that was ready to go. And last night, that's not a lack of effort. They didn't quit on the basketball game last night. It was a lack of execution, period. It's a lack of execution. This offense remains puzzling on so many levels that after 83 games this season, after now a few years, it's hard to understand what the Magic try to run, or if they're running something, the lack of execution at times. Because when they get into a half court, it's painful sometimes. It's painful to watch. And we can go around the whole thing here. But first, let's go inside the Magic locker room or to the press room, and some thoughts. Here's Jamal Mosley on shots last night for the Magic.
I don't think it was a movement. I think we had some great looks. I'll go back and look at the film, but I think we had some great looks out there. And our guys are, making sure they continue to step in with confidence. Great looks. And I think those go down. That's the difference of, Maxey hit a couple big ones. Paul George hit a couple big ones for them. And I think that's what happened down the stretch.
And Kelly Oubre. And he's not wrong, but he's also not right. I mean, he's not wrong in the sense, like I've said, it's about making shots and getting stops. But if the guys that don't make shots consistently are the ones that are taking the open shots, you can't just sit and go, well, they're going to make them at some point. When a sample size isn't just a week, when a sample size isn't just a month, when the sample size is not just a year, when the sample size is multiple years, you can't sit and go, hey, we got good looks. If I put Chris Vasquez wide open, you prefer the wing or a corner top of the key?
Give me the corner.
If I put Chris in the corner and I put nobody on him for 7 days, he's not going to shoot 50% from three. Why? Because he can't shoot. You can't shoot, can you?
That's all I do is shoot.
Yeah,
I can't dribble.
Okay. The key part of the game right there. But anyway, you got the point? Okay. So like I said, Paolo, he could be wide open. You think anybody in Philadelphia is like, no! It was almost like, great, perfect defensive execution to get the ball to the guy that's not going to shoot confidently. So good looks is one thing. It's who gets the good looks. If Steph Curry's 0 for 9 and he gets it on a wing for an open three, that's a good play because he's going to make more, okay? He's going to eventually begin to hit some of them as he proved last night. Paolo last night.
Yeah, like I said, they made plays at crucial moments, and there were a couple plays in the game where it was like, we could have switched the momentum around, and we just came up short. And when you're playing a team or on the road, and they're able to capitalize like that, crowd gets going, and they get energized. So just a tough game.
What is that, you think? Forklift?
Are they bailing some boxes?
I don't know. Again, despite the poor shooting, it's a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. They're down double digits and work their way back. And what? And then the Maxey 7-0 run happens. So it does come down to a couple of possessions. And yes, despite the struggle in shooting, if they win by one possession, then we're here going, hey, found a way. Just made enough plays, got a couple of shots, but they didn't. The Maxey 7-0 run, in many ways, the difference of that basketball game last night. But the turnovers are going to factor. Another half dozen for Paolo as well as for Desmond Bain. He talks about the turnovers.
I mean, extremely. I mean, I had 5 of them. P, had a few. That's the difference. I mean, we didn't take care of it. We gave them extra possessions. That's on me, and I definitely got to be better taking care of the ball for sure.
By the way, he looks down as he goes, and P had some. He saw what the number was. It was 6. Those turnovers do come back and hurt you. If you can't make shots in the NBA, it's really hard to win. Again, Desmond Bain, if you take his 3-point shooting out last night, then the team is 3 for 21 from the 3-point line. 3 for 21. And it is the 1-game sample size of last night, but it is the view of multiple seasons. They remain one of the worst shooting teams in the NBA, and their efforts in the last few years to improve by bringing in guys to do have failed. It didn't work. And the players that you're asking to get better have not really gotten better. And last night, there were 3 key guys that were not good for the Magic. And in that one game, because if you win, you advance, that one game, you can't have it, man. I mean, you can't have it. Desmond Bain scored 34 points last night. Played well. Played really good. Yep, turned the ball over a few times, but he played good. Paolo couldn't hit an outside shot. Looked not very confident shooting. And Wendell Carter Jr. and Jalen Suggs were horrendous last night. They're terrible. Offensively. Defensively, it ain't all on him that Maxey goes off for the points that he did, but Suggs struggled at times. And it just remains a mystery what they run on offense or what they're not executing on offense. And 10 o'clock hour, WYGM Orlando, WJR HD2 Cocoa Beach. I said this, and I saw it last night because I'm looking on Twitter and seeing some of the reaction. The Paolo critics today have a lot of fuel. They got a lot of stuff. And it ranges from, here's the latest, here's the turnovers, you got to trade him, what a horrible extension, all that stuff. They got a lot of fuel today, okay? They ain't paying $4.29 a gallon, okay? They're paying $1.65. They got a lot of fuel. I get it. I do. And maybe I'm over-defending, but I still believe, well, everybody can agree with this, there's a disconnect with him and his head coach. And I'm starting to say the same stuff I said about Gus Malzahn. Nobody would argue Jamal Mosley's a good guy. Nobody would argue that, okay? Everybody wanted this to work out. Everybody wanted this to work out. And I don't know, maybe like some coaches in football are great coordinators that maybe are never going to be great head coaches. Maybe Jamal Mosley is a good coach to take a team just so far. Maybe. And that may play itself out within the next 50 hours. There's a disconnect. There's a frustration, which I'm sure works both ways. And the whole thing about, well, was he in shape? Could he lose a few pounds? All this, I'm sure all of that is part of this. But I still would like to see Paolo in a system that plays to his strengths. Yes, he needs to work on a better outside shot. I've always been and will remain of the mindset that you're not going to take somebody and elevate them 6, 7, 8%. I don't think that's possible. But you can also run things that helps him just be downhill more. And yeah, you can pull the clip last night when he spins in and he has nothing and throws the ball away. Bad play. I'm not going to argue. He played below par last night. But I still think you've got to do more things that makes him get to the basket and be aggressive and force teams to have to figure out how to defend that, because I think that's his strength. It's not standing on a wing and getting the basketball 28 feet out and then say, we'll go do it. No. It's got to have ball movement. It's got to end up with him in a position to get to the rack. Listen, the Magic free throw attempts, you know what the number is, okay? They're among the best in the NBA, for crying out loud. He took 31 free throws last night. Missed 7. Took 31 free throws last night. But I think you got to play to his strength. Now, you could say, hey, unacceptable, immature at 24. Okay, you won't play that. Fine. May not like his coach, but you still got to be a professional. Yes. But when you tune out, you've tuned out. Who remembers the end for Stan Van Gundy? Fair or not? They tuned him out. The message was the same in the locker room. It wasn't all just the Dwight stuff. Did he deserve it? No. But it happens. And Paolo may not be the only guy that's tuned out his head coach on that team. And yet, I still think there's too much talent there. And as I said, you can go stat hunting all day. But it's on other guys as well. You know, Jalen Suggs can't have a game like that. And tomorrow night, their guy's playing. LaMelo Ball's playing. You can't think that Con Knippel's going to blank the bed like he did in the game against Miami. You would think that he's going to have a better basketball game. If you're a Magic fan, you hope he doesn't. But he was horrendous in the game against Miami. And the mindset, I don't know if this team cares. Like some of these guys may be in the mind of just end this thing. God, the last thing I want to do is go through 2 weeks of playing a best-of-7 series. And you would think, no. If they get in, they'll look at the matchup. You think so? Body language says a lot, man. Body language says a lot. And I don't know how many of these guys are that locked in to play a basketball game tomorrow to keep their season. Maybe they win. Then you get into a 7-game series. You still won at Detroit. You can be wishful thinking. There's nothing wrong with that. It's always good to live life half glass half full than always empty. And last night's loss is not all on Jamal Mosley. It's on everybody, okay? It is. It goes back to Sunday's game, and that loss, and the game is not at home. The game is on the road. And, heck, you just heard Paolo talk about, hey, we're playing at their place. Yeah, because you guys did that at Boston. And here it is the day before the next elimination game. And listen, it's natural to go and look at it. I did this morning, and you go, wow, okay, next year it's 41-7-5 for Franz. It's 41-25 for Paolo. It's 39-45 for Desmond Bane. It's 32.4 for Jalen Suggs. It's 18.1 for Wendell Carter Jr. Remember when it was going to bring in Desmond Bane, make that deal, committed to the extensions, and all of a sudden it went for the 3 guys, Paolo and Franz and Jalen Suggs. And the feeling was, that's your team. That's the team. So if this season ends tomorrow, you either try to sell, we're going to run it back and we're going to gamble on health again, or you got to begin to break up the pieces. And we got plenty of time if the season ends tomorrow to go and dissect that. But that's, they're not walking into a great cap situation like, hey, they got a lot of dollars to work with. It's a great free agent class. And we'll get to all that stuff once the season ends, and it may end tomorrow. But it came down to making plays in the fourth quarter last night after they worked their way to get back into the game. Couldn't get stops. That left-handed layup by Maxey was insane, though. I mean, come on. So, I mean, that's actually pretty good defense, and the dude drives with his wide left, almost like a hook shot. You're like, are you kidding me? But you know what? Stars make plays in big moments, and he did, and that was a huge layup.
I'm listening to wording here. Did the team tune out Jamal Mosley, or did they quit on him?
Well, I guess I'm going to ask you to define both.
So quit meaning they don't care. They're going to do what they do. Whatever he suggests, they're like, yeah, we're not going to do it. Or tuning him out being, I guess it'd be similar. Yeah.
I'm not trying to paint you in a corner because I actually do think there's a difference between the two. I I don't think, as men, I don't believe Jamal Mosley's players dislike him, the person. I believe they just feel frustrated by a system offensively that they seem to understand they're struggling. And some of that has to be in players. You have to take responsibility. But I just think from that standpoint, they've tuned out the, hey, here's what we're going to try to do. And it's like, all right, man, I just don't know if that's going to work.
And by the way, the difference being if they quit on them, they just don't care. Where if they tune them out, they're still trying. They're just not listening to what he says.
And I don't know, maybe I'm copying out your answer your question back to me. I don't think the Magic players have quit. But I think what happens is when you get frustrated because you feel like there is that disconnect, you don't have the same effort and energy. I don't think guys are throwing games. Okay.
I'm not suggesting that at all.
And I don't think last night was a lack of effort. I don't. There were games this season where you're like, that's a lack of effort. That's I simply do not care what happens. And you can make a case that may have been on Sunday. It certainly wasn't the game against the Pacers. I don't think it was a lack of effort. It was a lack of execution last night on both ends of the floor, of the turnovers, of the missed shots, of the defensive breakdowns. And if you're kind of tuning out, then you're not focused and you'll make mistakes more. And like I said, you can call it immaturity on all the young players, not just Paolo, and say, hey, dude, you're getting paid X now. And I understand that, but I still think you got guys that are learning, maturing, and for them, this is something new. I'm sorry to cut you off. At a somewhat pro level, Paolo Banchero played for who at Duke? Right. That guy. And so the only two coaches at a level of college and this. So it's not like he's played for 8-9 guys. So when you begin to feel a disconnect and tune out of the only coach you've known at this level, it's not like you got a bag of experience to go, when I played for so-and-so, we did this and that. And the same thing goes for Franz Wagner. The same thing goes for Jalen Suggs. Played for Mark Few. So it's new to all of them, no matter if it's third, fourth, fifth year in the league. And again, they didn't lose only because of Jamal Mosley last night. They lost for a lot of reasons last night. And that offense is just it's painful to watch sometimes. I mean, that half court, it's just painful. And you can get open shots, but how many guys on Philadelphia were petrified when certain guys got the ball open to take threes last night?
You never want to see the body language that we saw with the Magic. And
Andre Drummond was the best big on the floor last night. Andre Drummond is 73 years old. Even my wife was like, he's old. And I said he played in the 60s. What no?
What's the saying? Once is an accident, twice is a trend. Is that how it goes?
Sure.
But you don't want to see, okay, they've essentially tuned out and quit on their coach now. If it happens again.
What do you mean? Tomorrow? Are you pointing out?
If their next coach, because we all know Jamal Mosley's gone.
Next.
So next head coach, if they don't like him, there's a disconnect. Then
well, but what you're trying to visualize may not even be the case, because if the season ends tomorrow, okay, again, I go back to what I sound like a broken record now for weeks. The season ends tomorrow. Your ownership hopefully has been thinking about what they want to do with everything, and if that is, we're going to trust the person in charge of basketball operations to
who you don't know who that is right now.
No, to make the changes that he thinks we need to make. Or you're deciding we want someone else to make that decision. Or you're deciding we're going to be involved in that. Meaning ownership can say, we want Jeff Weltman to stay. Jeff, if you want to make a coaching change, that's on you. If you want to break up this core, that's on you. Or you're telling him, hey, we'll leave you in charge. You got to change the coach. Tell us who you want to hire. I mean, there's a lot that goes on that this Magic ownership over the many years, it is interesting. Their loyalty sometimes is to a fault, but I don't know if ownership has said, hey, we're going to reevaluate who makes that decision. And that's Jeff Wellman. That's on Jamal Mosley. That's on the basketball team. I mean, ownership has a right to go, maybe it's time we trade this guy. Or you're saying, hey, we're going to trust our basketball person. Well, who is that person? Who's that person? Because I just told you, if the year ends tomorrow or if you lose to the Pistons in 4 or 5, I just told you the dollar's committed. This team does not have cap space. This team, if you want change, you got to move some pieces here. And I'm not saying that that's not possible. You better be thinking about all of it, because the one thing you can't come back with and go, we're just going to be healthy next year. That doesn't really work. Doesn't really work. Magic Hornets tomorrow night right here in the station. I did, by the way, have to explain to my wife, not that she didn't understand, but she heard the show, an occasional listener, and was asking, I heard on the show you and Chris were talking about the game's not on, my wife still calls it Sunshine Network. And I'd explain, and I said, well, they do it all national. She goes, well, that stinks. I go, yeah, a lot of fans feel the same way about it without local playoff coverage. Yeah.
Once again, nobody cares about little old consumer. Just shell out billions and we'll give you our product and everyone else can figure it out and pay for it.
Well, not about you, Chris, but I watched the game on Prime last night. I ordered some
Actually,
Buffalo.
I did.
I ordered some Buffalo Wild Wings. I bought a car. I bought a washer and dryer. And I've got a box of medicine coming because of one of those fancy commercials where somebody was chasing butterflies. So I had a great time watching.
What is it, like the laundry beads? I don't know who sells them, but I always see those commercials, and I love that the QR code's right there.
Right there.
Scan it.
It's right there. You just click on.
Set for laundry detergent for years.
Just click it on. More of the magic coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. Cam Miller's going to take us into the final week before we get to the NFL draft in about 20 minutes. I want to do a couple of football things. UCF did move on something the state allowed schools to do when it comes to dollars and NIL. I'll explain. It's not exactly what Florida State did. And the GM of Alabama football, he threw some numbers out. We'll do all that coming up next.
This is the Beat of Sports with Marc Daniels.
What a great station promo in the wake of last night's game, huh? Can't blame the voice guy, man. He's bringing the energy in that thing right there, huh?
Sure.
Oh, wow. Beat of Sports on this Thursday. If you're watching on the stream, glad you're with us. You can get there on Twitter, 96 on Game On, or go to our YouTube page, 96 in the Game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button, and you can watch us in the stream. We'll do a show within the show a little bit. Who knows what we'll do or say. Cam Miller joins us next. We're a week out of the NFL draft, so we'll get to that. Yesterday, something happened out at UCF that is kind of connected to the athletic department, but I want to take you back because in June of last year, so June of 25, the Florida Board of Governors approved an amendment that would allow state universities to take $22.5 million in auxiliary funds and send it to athletics. Auxiliary funds are dollars that you generate from campus housing, parking, dining, bookstore fees, and, dollars like that. And Florida is actually one of the few states that you were not allowed to do that. Because, when the story came out, I was like, great, now we're taking university funds and we're giving it to athletics so they can pay football players. That was a perception, Chris. Remember, that was the story. And the first school to say yes was FSU because of the financial state. Okay. And it was like, hey, now we got the money that's going to fund the house settlement in rev share. And a lot of people mock that, but the state of Florida was in the minority of states that would not allow that to happen. So the state changed it, and FSU took advantage. And by the way, nothing wrong with that. Well, yesterday, UCS Board of Trustees did pass, and they gave it a name. Chris, I love great names. The UCF Athletic Strategic Investment Fund.
Sure. We'll go with it.
Okay. So it is going to allot $22.5 million. And as I understand, I believe it's for 3 years. But there is a little bit, there are some rules here, Chris. Apparently, they cannot take the $22.5 million and, okay, this is now the rev share money, so we're clean free. You can use some dollars towards that, but the goal for this was you've got to put it more towards things that can generate revenue. And one of the things about UCF's new tower that's going, or the renovated tower, of the $92 million in the TDT money, is going to generate more game day revenue. You're selling more premium seating and things like that. So part of this money needs to go towards updating projects or construction that's going to lead to new dollars. Like UCF's projected game day football profit, net, not gross net, is going up for UCF significantly. They're going to make a lot more money on a football game day by more premium seats than they did in years before. And what the board said yesterday is, okay, some of this money's got to go towards that. And yeah, some can make their way towards rev share money. So that was significant for UCF. And the fact that that money is going to be there apparently for 3 years, as I understand, is a positive because everyone's trying to figure out ways to what? To get dollars. I want to play something for you, though, Chris, that went viral. Alabama's general manager, Courtney Morgan, general manager of the football program, in an interview at Front Office Sports, was talking about the challenge of knowing what other schools are paying. Remember, in the National Football League, while not made for the public, every NFL team has access to everyone's contract. You knew that, Chris, right? Not in college sports. There is no place to register an agreement with the players. So everyone goes just on what they assume or hear. Or, for example, if I was pitching star quarterback Chris Vasquez to play $3 million and he chose to go someplace else, I'm going to assume that he got more than $3 million. So I'll say, well, okay, they're paying him 3 and we were going after that tackle and they're paying him 1.5 and we were offering him 1.3. And that's how people can guess numbers about what team payrolls are. This is what Courtney Morgan, Alabama's GM, said about trying to understand who's paying what, and then he threw out a figure that made people go,
You never really know what other schools are spending because everyone has creative ways in the third party NIL, the authentic NIL portion of their spending to pay players. So you really don't know what other people are really doing. You kind of do the math in your own head by monitoring what other schools and competition are doing, wondering probably more than $40 million, but you just never really know. So what we've done is try to take things in our own hand and come up with different ways that we can help offset the cap through content creation, third-party deals. If you spend the time worrying about what your competition is doing, you're not taking care of what's going on in your own program.
He said a couple key things there. One was basically figuring out how to get above what is kind of a soft cap. And he did mention the $40 million figure. Like a year ago, it was, we got teams that are paying like 20. Like, come on, man, what are we doing? Now it's 40. And then, then you get some other SEC suck up homers in the media, like, oh, I hear it's 60 in the conference, and soon we'll get $100 million. And maybe I don't believe that. And I do think that there are some SEC teams that probably are going to be 40 and 50 million. I have no idea what's sustainable or not, and I've somewhat given up on that because I don't know why that matters to me, because I'll never know what the exact figure is. I've learned the last couple of years in hearing people that do this for a living in football and basketball, there's so many made-up numbers. There's just so many made-up numbers about what players are actually making and payroll as well, because a lot of forget agents and players want false numbers out, but teams want false numbers out there. Like some teams love the fact that the rumor is, and I'm making up a number, hey, they're paying 40. Why? Because the message is, hey, they pay. So we'll get in contact with them because, they pay. What's sustainable? I don't know. I have no idea because I've been proven wrong about that already. Thinking that at some point the donor would do what any human being is like, I have no financial return on this. I just have an emotional return on it, and I'm done. The only reason why Cody Campbell at Texas Tech would like a change in the system, he doesn't want to limit how much Texas Tech can pay its play. He just wants someone else to begin to start paying them, because at some point, I don't care how many billions he's worth, you keep giving 40, 50 million a year. At some point, one of your bean counters goes, hey, just so you know, we're not getting anything back on this. But the number of 40 million, that doesn't faze people in two conferences. It does in the other conferences. Maybe at Miami, they're part of that group that's going to blow past that number. But yeah, sustainable? I have no idea. No idea. Chris loves it.
Absolutely ridiculous.
He loves it.
It's ridiculous.
Which part?
All of this. All of this.
Well, I mean, you do know toothpaste doesn't go back in the tube.
You've known for how long that college athletes were going to start getting paid. You could not have rules and guidelines already in place to avoid what is now happening. You could not have rules and guidelines to limit the transfers. You cannot have rules and guidelines to limit how much teams can spend on players.
Right, but I don't want to spend a long time on this because I'm going to get to Cam Miller. But why do you think, like, this is I'm not picking on you, it's a tired position that some people have taken. Like, the NCAA could have set these rules 15, 20 years ago. You don't think we still would have gone to court? Just like we've gone to court in bunches the last couple of years and it would have been overturned? What makes anybody think if 10 years ago the NCAA said, here's a system to pay players, that still wouldn't have been challenged? I don't understand that mindset.
If you get people together, if you get the ADs together in a room,
yeah,
these are the rules and guidelines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Accept it or don't.
Right? Which we've done, and we still went to court. What makes anybody think that in 2010, if they said, "Hey, here's the way we're going to begin to pay players," you think we still wouldn't have had lawsuits after lawsuit? Like I don't know why people think that wouldn't have happened. Of course, it would have happened. If in 2010 you said, "Hey, 5 years eligibility, no red shirts," and so you don't think that would have been challenged? We just have done all of this in a short period of time. I mean, I wish it was a world like you talked about that said, "Hey, membership in the NCAA, you volunteer. So therefore, if you volunteer for a private group, you accept our rules." That's not the world we live in. But I don't know why people, well, they could have had this 20 years ago.
So then let's just leave everything as is. We'll let 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds play in college football because we're just going to keep suing for more eligibility. Why even bother telling people you need to leave?
Actually,
Just let them stay.
Okay,
This is absolutely
I
ridiculous.
understand, but I am picking on you. No one that has a seventh year of eligibility is playing because they won an eligibility lawsuit. This past year in college football and basketball, every player that played for a seventh year, and I forget what the number was, did it because of medical reasons approved by the current NCAA eligibility rules. We haven't had one player yet. Now, Trinidad Chambliss is about to become one that won their legal case to get the year. Everything prior, that was a medical approved red shirt.
But this is going off what you just said, that
Yeah.
everything goes to court.
Yeah.
So
What makes you think we would have gone to court?
So what is to stop athletes every year going to court? I want another year of eligibility. I want another year of eligibility. I want
Okay.
another year of eligibility. What's to stop players from doing that?
Well, you got to win in court. And the answer, some would tell you, is government assistance with a form of antitrust. And I'm not convinced that that would end it because there still would be somebody to find a judge that would say, "Hey, temporary restraining order."
But clearly, guidelines don't mean anything. Rules don't mean anything in college athletics. They don't.
Sometimes. But
So we pick and choose what matters.
yeah, welcome to today's world. But just the last point on this, the people that take they should have prepared for this 10, 15 years ago. It's a lazy narrative. What makes you think it wouldn't have still been challenged in court, even if we did this 10, 15 years ago? I don't profess to know what the perfect system is. I'm just telling you that, you could have said, "Hey, we're going to start paying them 10, 15 years ago." You still would have had legal challenges to it on eligibility, on limited compensation. And it's really hard to look the player in the face today and tell them why they can't leave when their coach can leave at any time. It's really hard to say, "But you can't leave, but that guy can leave at any time."
Well, isn't that what now athletes are doing? I'll just withdraw as a student and enroll somewhere else. Isn't that what we're doing now too?
Yeah.
So anybody can leave at any time. Contracts don't mean anything.
Wait a minute. I promise the last one I'm going to get to Cam here. As much as I have frustrations with it, you tell me, because you play football, your rules should be different than the everyday student on campus about the ability of where you want to go?
Aren't their rules different?
No, I'm asking you. You go to college, I go to college.
Mm-hmm.
You play football, I don't play football. I got to work and pay my way through college. You get a scholarship, okay? I decide that, hey, I want to go someplace else because I can get a better job, and I want to go someplace else for this reason. You shouldn't have that same opportunity? Why not? You're a student.
Did you sign a contract?
Nobody signs a contract that requires, if I have signed a contract, that's one thing, which is what they're trying to push, a multi-year deal. Nothing stops any school from offering only a multi-year deal. That's a choice that they make.
Has the NCAA have they not set rules saying that you either can or can't transfer? Or I know it used to be if you transferred, you'd have to sit out a year.
Yeah, they lost in court. But you're blaming the wrong people.
All we do is go to court.
But
for
you're blaming
everything.
the wrong people, though. Who are you blaming here? Who are you blaming? Which one are you blaming? You blaming the NCAA? They try to set the rule. That's not their fault.
I'm not yelling at the NCAA.
All right, let's get to Cam Miller now.
Cam Meller,
What you know is very limited, and what you don't know is limitless.
the Chief Analytics and Data Officer at Pro Football Network. You can follow Cam on X or Twitter at Cam Meller.
1 week to the NFL's first round of the draft in 26. A lot to talk to with Cam Meller. His group's got a big event for the draft, but I want to ask him something before that. First, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm great. A week out from the Super Bowl, I'm nervous for the preparations, but also very excited for next week.
Well, I'm nervous because I'm at ProFootballNetwork.com. I got the draft simulator on right now, and I want your thoughts on this because I've been offered a trade for my Giants here. Should I do this? The Rams have offered me pick 13, 61, and a second-round pick in 27 for number 5. What do I do?
It depends on where you want to go. If you're the Giants, where do you lean? What's been on the board? What's available? Are you going to go best player available? To me, I love trading back and I love getting more capital. So I'm always the GM that thinks forward in the future, not the GM that needs to win right now. So tough one, always.
Okay, so I clicked accept, and now you know what happened? Now I've been offered a trade by the by the Eagles, okay? Give up that pick for pick 23, 54, and 68. Should I keep going down?
Oh, no, I'm a fan of trade backs. I've actually broke the simulator with doing far too many trade backs. But no, at this point, I feel like you got to go. It's a day one pick is worth it, in my opinion, still.
I could get the wide receiver. I can get Lemon from USC, Spencer Fano. I can get Jordan Tyson and my pick at 13. What should I do?
Oh, Tyson to me I like him a little bit more than Lakai Lemon. I like his high end.
Look what just happened here, huh? See, I'm using the product. You got to love me for that, huh? How about that, huh? Come on.
Huge fan. Also, I heard from one of my guests on my shows this week too that they project that Spencer Fano could kick all the way into center as well and have some great success. So super excited to see his career pan out.
Before we dive in, tell folks what you got coming on for the draft next week that they may want to be a part of.
Yeah, so live draft show, and we're going to do it around the horn style where we debate each pick and have a specific grade. But with the 8 minutes on the clock, we're going to have the loser of the debate suffer a live consequence, which includes it's geographically based on the NFL team in which they lose the draft pick. So if you lose the debate for the Buffalo Bills, the loser's going through a table like their fans do. If you lose the debate for the Denver Broncos, you're eating Rocky Mountain oysters live on camera. So got a couple other things where they have to, seal their, if they lose the debate, they've sealed their fate, describing the analysis of the Bucs pick if they lose it like a pirate, and then they have to dress like a pirate for the rest of the show. So bunch of different fun things, and we'll be streaming live, our first big live event for the draft, and we're going all 3 days.
And where can folks find that?
YouTube and live on X. So PFSN 365 on Twitter, and then Football Debate Club on YouTube.
What's the most intriguing storyline or storylines to you right now, 1 week out?
Right now, 1 week out we're reaching the fever pitch of we've reached it. Let's face it, the fever pitch of semantics and stories being broken. So outside of that, I still am really interested to see which GM valued Ty Simpson enough to make the selection in round one. Is it going to be the Steelers? Are we going to see a team trade back that wants to get or use the capital to trade back into round one to pull the trigger on Ty Simpson? And then from there, it's where do we rank these edge defenders? Because there's a lot of them, and where does Arvo Reese land? I think the run on edge defenders that we might have, I'd go the over. I believe it's set at 6.5. So where does the run start on edge defenders, and then where do we go? How far do we get down the list on these talented edge guys?
I'm going to play a question here for Chris because as a Cowboy fan, he's intrigued. When so many respected people think the Cowboys are going to try to move up, does that mean that that's going to happen, or is it just, hey, we're getting bored with a week to go?
I think so. One or two, I'd say we're getting bored, and then we're maybe not copying, but we're using someone else's board and draft to help out. But when three of them have them trading up to the exact same pick with the exact same team, the Cleveland Browns landing up 6, I'm going to listen. I'm going to at least put a little bit more emphasis on what they did and how they got there and then who they picked up. And so to me, I think if you're the Cowboys, I'd be very interested in seeing what actually happens on night one and being tuned in from pick 1 to make sure something doesn't happen ahead of time too. So there's more to it when 3 of them have done the exact same trade essentially.
Reese, Styles, Bailey. It's interesting the last couple of weeks with these guys. Where do you think you have them, or where do you have them locked in, and why is there still kind of this? Well, maybe Bailey and so forth. So when I say those names, where do you go?
Yeah. So for me, no matter what, I still want to put David Bailey number one as probably the best defensive player in this class, and I think it's because of his ability to both win very quickly off the line of scrimmage, and then also win with some of these elongated pressure attempts where he's still working, battling, fighting through double teams or fighting through, a half step or a hop step, and then he's able to get home with pressures. That season he had last year was incredible. And my only trepidation with Arvell Reese, with how talented he is what position does he play? Is it going to be off-ball linebacker? Because I'd still have him up there, probably right behind Bailey. He struggled a little bit against some of these bigger, stronger offensive tackles, and so I want him as sort of a designated blitzer, but also be able to play in the flats. And so that's where the in-between positions. So I'd have him rank Bailey the clear number one to me, though, and I'm happy wherever he lands if I'm an NFL fan.
We talk about quarterbacks being overdrafted a little bit. I'm curious, is there a little bit of that maybe among wide receivers in this draft, where there may be a couple that go much higher simply because you got teams looking and go, I can't bring these 3-4 guys back?
Yeah, it's tough. I think, you probably have, we know it, tackles, even some of these edge defenders are overdrafted, not nearly as much as these quarterbacks are. But in this class alone, for the wide receiver position, Cardinal Tate being wide receiver one, and then you have those guys right in there, that probably that meat between Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, Omar Cooper, Casey Concepcion, and then that's it in the round one grades. And so I think at that point, we're going to start seeing an overdrafted aspect because, it's tough to keep these guys happy. If you're wide receiver 3, but you can go to be wide receiver 2, you're going to leave. It's definitely to me an overdrafted position, but it's because of how talented some of these guys have become and turn into in the NFL systems.
Chris, I'm going to let you ask Cam the Caleb Downs question.
All right. So we're seeing a lot of AI now being used, and I guess teams want to use AI to kind of form a like a next gen stat on Caleb Downs since he did not run the 40. Are we becoming too dependent on AI just like we are with analytics when it comes to drafting?
I think we're heading in that direction to be that way. I think, what was it? Allbirds, the shoe company that sold all their stocks, now become a computer processing chip. And
what's wrong with that, baby?
As well.
My Allbirds shoes now are classics. They got to put them in a glass case and save them and never making them again.
Told my wife. Yeah. It was very sad. She loves her Allbirds. But if that's not the antithesis of, hey, we're becoming too dependent on AI, that's the way the world's turning. I think no matter what, though, in football and in the NFL draft, we're going to have these guys that want to embrace it. I don't feel like it's like Moneyball where you have to or die. I think there's still an emphasis on, I watched this guy play. He did this. I don't care what the numbers say. I think we'll be there. There might be some regimes that want to lean too heavily into it. And I think we'll eventually revert to the mean where you have to be able to put the human touch on the artificial intelligence realm.
Why, though, as Caleb Downs seems to be all over the place in some of these mock drafts. He seems to be high as top 5, seems to be now towards the middle of the first round. Is there a reason that's suddenly been the buzz?
Maybe because he doesn't have the Derwin James type frame to be able to go that high, but I think that's his level of impact is Derwin James. I think he can play high free safety. He can come downhill and run defense as a strong safety. He can cover any receiver. So I believe I saw one GM or one quote from an anonymous GM, we're in that season. It says throw out draft value for him because they want him on his team. I think someone's going to have fallen in love with him and be willing to draft him incredibly high. So I set it and forget it with Caleb Downs. I'm happy wherever he lands.
Who's the best G6 player in this draft?
Overall, G6. I'm going down my list.
McNeil Warren at Toledo?
Probably I have him there. And so if you want to say Emmanuel McNeil Warren, yes, I might even give an emphasis to Chris Johnson from San Diego State, the cornerback. I think he might sneak into round 1. And I think it's another position that might be a little bit overdrafted. But if you look at what Chris Johnson was able to do out at San Diego State, they produce next level defensive back talent, just like Toledo does, if not better. And so that's a fun question too, is who is the group of 6 DBU? It's Toledo or San Diego State. So either one of those guys, they're neck and neck on my board.
We'll do more on value of second and third day picks next week when we talk. I'm a bit curious. The Jeremiah Love thing, do you think that there's a market that teams are going to be aggressive in trying to trade there? And I'll be a little bit selfish here. If you're the Giants, Do you have to take him if he's there at 5?
It's hard to say you don't take it, because what do you want to do with when you're ushering in okay, it's a new era of football for the Giants, right? It's still Jackson Dart at quarterback. You want to take the pressure off Jackson Dart. The best way to do it is get the best player available in the draft. And if the best player available in the draft is a running back that's going to literally take pressure off of your young quarterback, you absolutely do it, especially with a running back. It feels like a vanity pick, but it also feels like a pick that helps Jackson Dart in the sense that I have a 5-year running back on a rookie deal being able to maximize the best play that he's going to give us in those first 5 years of his career. So I say you absolutely do it. You become very happy. You make your quarterback happy.
I know I've asked you over the years, but I'm just curious, and I'll ask it again because my memory goes. Are you a big fan, like we were just teasing as I was doing the draft simulator, about trading down? What do you like when teams do when they try to trade down and pick up? And then what do you say, no, that's a bad habit to get into?
Yeah, I love when you trade down, but you're still able to, obviously it's like the lottery. You trade down, but still get the best player available or the player that you coveted the most. And I like it when you are able to gain some draft capital, but then get a player that maybe I'm a little bit higher on that you're not so much, that the rest of the league is as sold on. And so in this Caleb Downs situation, if 31 other GMs were looking at him like he's too small, but I'm sold no matter what, and I can get a 6th-round pick by dropping 2 picks or a pick or 2, I'm doing it. And I think that's what I love about it the most is you see guys, 3 or 4 years later, it looks like they fleeced them, to quote the youth. That's what I love when they do it the most. It's obviously still a crapshoot. It's like winning the lottery and the draft. So it just makes it so much fun.
The Dolphins have 7 picks in the, I think I'm right, 2, 4, 7 picks in the top 94. For a team that has so many needs, you do have a chance to get some quality players that at least help a foundation here. And this is assuming they keep all these picks and so forth. But 7 in the top 100 is a pretty good load.
It's franchise changing. It makes it, I don't think it's okay to then have traded away Jalen Waddle and gotten rid of Tyreek.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why both have been on, but yeah, with those, if you're not drafting 2 receivers early, because that has to be the worst wide receiver depth chart. And we all know I'm a big Jalen Tolbert fan, but it has to be the worst wide receiver depth chart in the NFL in recent memory. Once you got rid of those 2 stars. So yeah, no, it's a franchise changing draft haul that they have with how high those picks are, and to be able to have multiple 1st-round picks as well. At this point, you have to change the franchise. Otherwise, there's going to be even more changes over the next few years.
Check him out on X or Twitter, Cam Miller. You get the links to everything that they do, including that draft simulator, which you can get lost in and have a ton of fun. And he's got special draft show coverage that you can also learn about at his X or Twitter. We'll remind people again next week. So we'll talk on the day of the draft. Enjoy the week ahead. We'll look forward to next week. Appreciate it.
Thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Cam Miller with some thoughts. So you get the Bills pick wrong. You get slammed through a table.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's all fun and games. So someone gets hurt.
Sign a waiver.
Somebody's got a busted collarbone. He's got to come back because the Seahawks are up. I got to go to the hospital. Hang on. You're back up again for the Seahawks pick here.
God, I wish I was a part of that. That'd be fun. Even when I went to Buffalo, the Cowboys-Bills game a few years ago, I wanted to go through a table. Voluntarily, I wanted to go through a table.
Do you see people go through tables?
No.
Yeah. Could be a little bit more hype and it ends up like there's just 2 people that do it. It's not like you walk up and down rows tailgating and everyone's.
But they're known for it.
Yeah, but I don't think it's like 10 different locations where they're doing nothing but pile drives through tables and stuff. I'm quite sure that's how it goes down,
Well, I just need to go back up to Buffalo.
Yeah. All right. We're going back to Philadelphia, or going to Philadelphia. Philip Rossman-Reich covered the Magic game last night up there. We'll get his thoughts. The team now comes back home to play Charlotte tomorrow night. The hour kicks off with the news next.
Let's really do the news.
Yes. Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
Magic dropped the play-in game last night in Philly, 109-97. It means they have to beat the Hornets tomorrow night at the Kia Center to then draw the Detroit Pistons. If the Magic do win tomorrow, it's a 6:30 game one in Detroit on Sunday. Then game two would be Wednesday in Detroit. Because don't forget, the NBA stretches the first round of the playoffs out over the course of 8 months. 2 weeks. That's how long it takes. But anyway, last night, 34 points for Desmond Bane on 10 of 16 shooting, hit 4 of 6 threes, 10 of 11 free throws. He played 40 minutes. He was the bright spot for a starting five that featured Paolo going 7 of 22. He had 18 points. He had 6 turnovers in the game. Missed all 5 of his threes. Franz Wagner, not 100%, played 29 minutes, had 12 points in the basketball game. Wendell Carter Jr., 1 for 7, 5 points in 32 minutes last night. Jalen Suggs played 37 minutes. He scored 4 points, was 1 of 9 from the floor. If you take away Desmond Bane's shooting night from 3, the Magic were 3 for 21 from the rest of its starters when it came to 3-point shots for the night. 7 of 27, 26%. Tyrese Maxey went for 31. Kelly Oubre had 5 threes, had 19 points. VJ Edgecombe, the talented rookie from Baylor, he had 19 as well. And the Sixers now advance to take on the Celtics in round 1 of the NBA playoffs.
Can I ask you something real quick?
Yes.
Given the poor shooting of everyone else on the team, aren't you a little disappointed Desmond Bane didn't take more shots? Wouldn't it have made more sense for him to just keep shooting?
Sure, hindsight, and I don't think it was a lack. I think sometimes just ball movement, somebody else is open. That's the problem. If they don't knock down shots, then it doesn't matter. 73-point second half for Golden State. They rallied from down double digits in the fourth quarter, and Steph was Steph. After missing so much time, he came back and played 36 minutes, had 35 points. By the way, guess who was on a minute restriction supposedly before that game that played 36 minutes? Steph Curry. It's 7 of 12 threes, a couple of huge ones late, and the clock was turned back for Draymond Green, who played Draymond Green Hall of Fame defense late in the basketball game. He guarded Kawhi Leonard and absolutely smothered Leonard and frustrated him. 2 key steals in the game. He had 7 points, but he had 4 key steals, 2 late in the basketball game, grabbed a couple of rebounds, and he was Draymond to the point of what Golden State needed for the Warriors. Yeah. They now get Phoenix in the play-in game in the West. Prosecutors in South Florida, in the Jupiter area, trying to get access to the prescription records of Tiger Woods. You can't just go up to the counter and go, yeah, we're looking for Tiger Woods prescriptions the last year or so. It's hard to get. I guess so. As they continue to build their case on Tiger, he is fighting that subpoena to get access. By the way, if you missed it, LaMelo Ball will play. The total fines, 2 fines, $60,000, no suspension for the incident with Bam Adebayo. We're not shocked by that, right?
No, we did the game show yesterday.
Yeah.
And I said he wasn't going to get suspended.
Yeah. And Liv, CEO for the golf tour, says they have enough money to play the entire 26 season. After that, they do not expect to have any Saudi-backed money, but are seeking additional investors or partnerships. The DP Tour, which is the European Tour, is what they're seeking to get a partnership with. Don't know if that is going to happen. History lesson coming up in about 25 minutes. We go to Philly. Philip Rossman Reich, Orlando Magic Daily, was at the game last night. Get his thoughts. He was in the locker room. And what now happens is the Magic have to win tomorrow to advance into the first round against the Pistons. We'll do that next.
What's good, locos? This is Angel from the Monsters of the Morning on Real Radio 104.1, and you're listening to the voice of UCF, Marc Daniels, and the Beat of Sports on FM 96.9 The Game. You want real sports talk? You got it right here.
There'll be a game 84 for the Magic tomorrow night when the Charlotte Hornets come to town. LaMelo Ball will play for them. Last night, a 12-point loss at Philadelphia. And comes down to a game tomorrow to see if they can advance, and they would get the Pistons. Philip Rossman-Wright covers the Magic, senior writer, Orlando Magic Daily, and witnessed the game in person and kind of joined us. Good morning. Thanks for the time. Let me first start. Just your general thoughts on the game itself. We'll get to the overall issues, but what do you think of the game last night?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like a playoff game. It felt like a game where, like, every possession mattered. Both teams, as flawed as they are, put a lot into the game. I think the Magic said this throughout the course of their post-game interviews, that they felt like they played hard. Like, effort wasn't a problem. Intensity wasn't a problem. And, whatever concerns you might have had from the Magic after Sunday's loss to Boston, they put those to bed. And it really just came down to Tyrese Maxey went on that 7-0 run and put the Magic in a hole that they couldn't climb out of at long last. The Magic were just trailing the entire game, climbing uphill. It felt like they were finally about to crest that hill. And then, the best player on the floor won the game for the Sixers. So, I don't think the Magic necessarily took the loss like so hard that, just felt like one slipped through their fingers. It was just one where they missed some key shots and the Sixers made the plays, and now they have to face an elimination game on Friday.
Philip, Jamal Mosley was asked, it may have been by you, question about the offense and the looks. And he said, we got some good looks. He's right, but it's some guys that are not shooting well, that Philadelphia didn't care if they had open looks. And clearly there's a point where Paolo looks like the last thing he wants to do is take a corner three. So there's one thing that you get good looks. It's another thing, it's the wrong guy shooting. And it seems like that's been a challenge all year for this team that remains one of the worst shooting teams. So as you hear, hey, we got good looks, yeah, but they didn't make a lot of shots last night, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm still kind of like waiting for the data. The NBA hasn't even posted the data to double check that, because that's something I was curious about too. Where are the Magic actually getting the good looks that he's claiming, or enough of the good looks that he's claiming? But at the end of the day, I think this entire season has, even though the Magic's offense has been the best that it's been in 12 years since Dwight Howard was here, it just feels like everyone feels like the offense is just a slog, that everything offensively is just really hard. I mean, and you just look at Paolo's ability to get open looks or even good shots at the rim. Forget threes. Just getting him quality paint touches and quality paint looks has been a challenge. Obviously Franz Wagner might be still a little bit slowed down by his recovery from the injury, and he's playing more minutes than ever. But getting him downhill, getting him to spots is a challenge. And even though Desmond Bane had a fantastic game and was able to get to the foul line, was able to kind of carry the team through much of that game, getting him open 3-point looks has been a problem all season long. Just like actively seeking out his 3-point shooting and his 3-point gravity has been a huge problem. And so, I'm a big believer that these high pressure, high intensity postseason games really reveal a lot about you and reveal a lot, and show you all your flaws. And I don't think it's a secret to say the Magic not only struggle to make threes, they struggle to create threes. A lot of people have said, like, why are the Magic shooting so many threes? They only took 27 3-pointers in the game last night. Like, this is the NBA of the 2020s. Taking 35 threes is almost a minimum just to keep defenses honest and keep defenses kind of stretched out. If you're not even able to generate 3-point looks, let alone make them, it's going to be really hard to function as a high-level basketball team in this league. And especially, looking ahead to Charlotte, Charlotte's going to get up 53s. Like, it becomes a math problem at a certain point. So there's just a lot of execution problems and frankly, probably a lot of schematic problems that I think everybody is feeling and struggling to fight against. You've written about it, and I'm going to ask you to comment more. There's a disconnect somewhere here with Paolo and coach and maybe other players. And body language to me sometimes speaks volumes, even if they're not speaking. And I'm not saying last night, here's the proof, because it looks like it's gone on for a while. When you watch Paolo and see a night like last night and then see body language in a locker room, what do you take from it? Because it just seems like he's telling you, I'm frustrated. I don't really understand what, my role is, and this isn't working. Yeah, it just, I mean, the way I would describe it and the way I described the offense last night is everything just feels hard. Like, everything is difficult. Like, the Magic had to scratch and claw and climb their way just to make it a 1-point game. And in 3 possessions, Tyrese Maxey put the game away. It just and the way he was able to get his points, that step back 3 that he took, the layups that he hit over Wendell Carter and the pick and roll, it was easy, simple stuff. And it just doesn't feel like anything the Magic are doing is easy. And look, it's been well noted, like before this season, the Magic broke the streak. They didn't have a bottom 10 offense in the league for the first time since Dwight Howard. But even then, they're 18th in the league in offensive rating. We see the struggles they have to shoot. We see the struggles that Paolo has to find space to drive to the basket. It's not even just about, it's not even just about the shooting. It's the threat of the shooting. No one believes this Magic team is going to beat them from 3, and they got to prove that they can make some threes before they ease off, and that makes it harder for Paolo to get downhill. And so, I said this, or I described it this way after the Magic lost in the playoff series to the Cavs and the Celtics, and it was clear like this had to be the mission for the team. It just felt like Paolo and Franz were banging their head against the wall in those 2 playoff series. And throughout this entire season, it's just felt like these players are banging their head against the wall, and walls are walls for a reason. You might put a few cracks in them, but you're never going to break them down. The Magic don't have a way to get around that wall. They only try to go through it. And I think what one of the disconnects this year is they're just, Paolo especially feels like is just tired of it and tired of having to like constantly throw himself into the teeth of the defense and not get anything easy for himself.
There's a time, and we'll discuss what has to be some changes to this roster. But what was with Wendell Carter Jr. and Jalen Suggs last night? They were terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's their inconsistency. I mean, I think if you're looking for places to change, and I think the Magic have to have these conversations. If they're not having these conversations, they're not doing their job. Wendell Carter has always been extremely inconsistent on offense. He's had good moments, he's had good stretches, but he'll also have these really down stretches. And Wendell will be the first to tell you that he probably gets on himself a little too hard when he's struggling to shoot. But with Wendell Carter especially, I think the style of center he is just really struggles in games like this. You watch Adam Bona, he's a shot blocker. He's going to fly around, play above the rim. We're going to see that with Moussa Diabate. They just kind of fly around and jump over people. Wendell Carter, for all the good that he can be and how solid he can be as a backstop, he is not an above the rim center. And I think a lot of people think about spacing as far as 3-point shooting, and that's really important. There's also a thing called vertical spacing where you put pressure above the rim. And so defenses not only have to defend you on the ground, they got to worry about you flying in. The Magic don't have a lot of players like that. The Jamal Cain alley-oop was like the only time the Magic have felt like played above the rim throughout the course of the game. Anthony Black isn't quite, jumping out of the gym quite yet. They don't have these great leapers who put pressure on offensive rebounds and on the glass. And so Carter's all about positioning. And if his positioning's off or his timing is off, it's a struggle for him. And you could kind of see it last night. He was not rolling hard to the basket. He was kind of hanging around the perimeter, leaving that paint open. And sometimes just like, dude, you're a big guy. Go to the rim, go make something happen around the basket. And he just may not be that player. And, on Jalen Suggs, Jalen Suggs' inconsistency with his shot especially has been, frustrating and wild to see. If you go look at his splits, he shoots something like 35, 36% from 3 in home games. He's in the mid 20s, like 25, 24% from 3 in road games. He really does feed off the home crowd a ton. And him finding some consistency on offense and getting set up for better shots too, it's going to go a long way for him. And the Magic do have to think if Franz and Paolo are guys, and Desmond Bane's been the best player on the team all season, if those are our 3 guys, we got to really think about whether we have the right players around them to maximize that talent. And that's obviously going to turn to Jalen Suggs and Wendell Carter this offseason.
I was in that building a few weeks ago when UCF played an NCAA tournament game there on a neutral court. You were there for Sixer fans to be excited. And I commented early in the show, it's not the only reason why the Magic lost, but that crowd is energized early. It's back and forth first quarter. That's why that Sunday game mattered, because you didn't want to be in Philadelphia.
Yep, Jamal Mosley deserves all the criticism. I don't know if the Magic win that game Sunday if Desmond Bane plays his regular minutes, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. And the way he managed the minutes in Chicago when he played the same number of minutes, like Desmond Bane played 17 minutes in Chicago, 17 minutes in Boston. The way he managed those minutes in Chicago was, he took him out maybe a minute earlier, put him back in a minute later. They were up by 9 at the half. Des started the second half, and then the Magic blew that game open. It's like, okay, now I can rest him. You got to go win the game first. And, Mosley deserves a lot of criticism. He's made a lot of coaching mistakes this year. And his job, future is certainly deservingly up for grabs because of the results of the season as much as anything. But he said throughout the course of the year, our home crowd is so important to us. We get so much energy off the home crowd. I don't know how you don't go all out to make sure you have that advantage. The Philadelphia crowd was loud and sure, Orlando withstood some punches and withstood some of the early stuff, but like when VJ Edgecombe got the technical foul and Kelly Oubre's egging the crowd on to get loud, that was a huge turning point in the game. Tyrese Maxey making his shots when he went on that 7-0 run, you knew it was 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You knew the game was over at that point. You knew that they weren't going to get back in the game, and obviously it led them to victory.
Again, I'm a big body language guy. I don't know what team. I don't know what team comes tomorrow, because there's a part of me that thinks these guys are like, oh God, I got to play another game and almost want this thing to end. And here comes Charlotte, who's probably energized, like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what do you expect tomorrow night?
Honestly, I don't know what to expect, because I still think on a talent basis, if the Magic show up, if they find that spark, if the crowd is energetic, they get off to a good start, they get some shots to go down. Charlotte's still a really young team. Like, this is their first postseason game together on the road. They're not going to have the crowd behind them to get them back in the game. They're very talented. They're playing really well. They're really confident. So I don't think you'll land a first quarter knockout punch or anything. But if the Magic don't come out strong and let Charlotte run them out of the gym, just talking to fans, and I know fans in the building are different than fans online, it could very easily become a morgue in there. Like the fans after that Atlanta game a couple weeks back was huge. The team was rightly booed off the court. We had to ask Jamal Mosley about chants against him, and he said he deserved them at that point. And it just feels like this it could get very, very ugly if the Magic don't show up. The Hornets, as Paolo eloquently put it after the game, the Hornets have kicked the Magic's butt this year, and pretty handily. The final scores of the 3 wins that the Hornets won are not indicative of how thoroughly the Hornets beat the Magic up in those games. If the Magic don't come in locked in, ready to play, they're going to get embarrassed, and they're going to head into their offseason feeling really bad.
Check out his work on X or Twitter at Philip1L, Philip RR_OMD. The work at Orlando Magic Daily as well. Support to the work that he does. Safe travels back. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Catch the Magic and Hornets tomorrow night here. And listen, and Chris, you can chime in as well. I have no doubt, the fans will be there tomorrow. They'll be jacked up. They'll be loud. They'll do their part. The team, I don't know. And if it goes south, they get every right to show their frustration. There won't be 13. I mean, that place will be packed tomorrow night. They'll do their part. That's not a question. There's no question about that.
I will be anxious to see what Magic team shows up. Is it going to be a team that from the jump just does not give a damn what Jamal Mosley thinks or says or anything? Is it a team that just is going to go out there flat, or are they going to come in with some energy? Are they going to feed off the home crowd? Do they want to actually extend their season?
Again,
what kind of team shows up?
I just, as Philip agreed, the Sunday game, it's everything. That game should have been in Orlando last night. Doesn't guarantee you a win, but you'd rather play it at home. Anyway, we're going to do a show within the show if you're on the stream, or you can get to the stream on our YouTube page, 96 The Game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button if you're on X or Twitter, 96.9 Game On. We come back. We hadn't done it in a while. History lesson, and what a story in today's history lesson coming up.
Man, amateur hour over here?
I'll save the boys' room run until a little bit later. Sorry, we're doing the show.
Amateur hour here.
Sorry.
Stepping on a show promo, going long on your live read, and wow.
Are you done picking on me yet, or
you like to pick on me?
Are you done picking on me yet? So when we were talking with Cam Miller about an hour ago on the draft, and Chris is fired up for the draft.
Damn right.
He's excited because the Cowboys making a deal.
Train up to 6 for Sonny Styles, baby.
His life's been reduced to the chance of moving up in a draft. But I did ask him about the Dolphins. The Dolphins have 7 picks in the top 100. Okay, and if you're a new GM, this is gold. Okay, I mean, it is one of the attractive things about that job was the draft capital that was there, because it's his job to rebuild the roster. And I'm not saying the Dolphins are going to rebuild it and that 1-year turnaround, but that's the attractive part, is that you got a chance. Now, you may not use all of them. You may move some picks, everything, but they do have 7 picks, the top 94 of next week's draft.
I don't think you want to just completely go in. Well, I mean, the Dolphins have no choice but to go into next season with a bunch of cheap players, with a bunch of rookies, because they have no cap space. Ideally, what you would like is to have some savvy veterans, some, guys who can kind of mentor the younger guys, but they have no cap space to do anything.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, as great as all these picks are, we know they're not going to be good next year.
Look, my point is it's better to have multiple picks than to not have it. Like if the Dolphins went into this draft with 5 total picks, that's adding to the disaster that's been. They at least now have some cap. And by the way, you can move some of these picks to get more draft capital in 27 and even 28. I'm just saying that they have at least the flexibility in this draft to begin to formulate future picks, and that's my point with that. I think, as I asked Cam also, Jeremiah Love is really interesting because, Chris, the running back position, remember 2 or 3 years ago, Bianchi and I would argue, Mike's like, you can draft, running back by committee always work. But when you get a player that people think could be a franchise running back, it is just different because we don't really have many of those that come along.
The last one that came out is probably Ezekiel Elliott. The last one to come out, the one who just he did change the Cowboys franchise for a little bit, but he fell off so hard. Right.
Well, Ashton Genty was drafted pretty high.
He was, but he's only been in the league.
Right, but I'm just saying, you take a look at quarterbacks, running backs drafted high. Genty was last year. But it used to be, don't take these guys. Maybe Love's different.
I was going to save this for on the mark, off the mark next week, but I'll ask you now. What do you think has a chance of, what position do you think has more drafted players in the first round, quarterback or running back? Or is it going to be a tie?
Oh, you mean at 1? No, somebody take Ty Simpson.
You don't think anyone's going to go Jadarian Price?
No. Somebody will take Ty Simpson.
I do think Ty Simpson will be a first rounder.
And I think he's drafted in the teens. Yeah.
I can see a team like Pittsburgh trading up.
Like I asked Cam about the Giants and Jeremiah Love, and I admit there's a attraction to the idea, because I believe this, okay? The criticism of Tua in cold weather was valid because the numbers backed it up. I do believe that weather teams need to be able to run the ball when you play meaningful football games in December and January. If you're not, who cares?
Right.
And I think the Giants need to be able to run the ball because they will play in weather games. You hope meaningful weather games that you just can't rely on. We'll run by committee. The question is, do you guess right that they're franchise backs that can carry the rock X number of times in big games? And you got to have a line, with the Giants still are trying to figure out a line.
Well, you also need health is a big thing. We talked about it with the Magic. Jackson Dart needs to slide and protect himself. Cam Scadaboo needs to stop headbutting chairs and stuff.
But well, I mean, forget Scadaboo. I mean, it's fine if he's on the roster. But you and I will agree that what makes quarterbacks good and potentially great It's what surrounds him, including a running game that allows you to have balance.
Yeah.
You know, and the Giants have had decent backs for how bad they've been, but at some point you want to get better, and it is appealing. Now, I'm not quite sure he's there because I think that fourth pick is really fascinating.
I could see Tennessee.
Sure. I mean,
taking Love.
why would you not?
Yeah.
To pair with a quarterback. Why would you not do that?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, we're going back. History lesson.
All right, boys and girls, take a seat and listen up as we take a trip down memory lane with Marc Daniels in this week's history lesson.
Been a while since we've done a history lesson. A lot of Thursdays that I've been on the road, but time today for history lesson. And Chris, I think today's history lesson's interesting. We're in this era of, in some sports, the NBA looks like they're settling on expansion with Seattle and Las Vegas. Major League Baseball at some point is going to make decision about what they want to do. And today's history lesson is going to take us back to a team, Chris, that played 1 year in a city after they were named an expansion team. 1 year. And therefore, it's got to be a wild story. For many years, Seattle was known as a great minor league baseball town with good support and lots of community involvement. But there was a time that people thought, hey, Major League Baseball probably ought to go out to the great Northwest. And Dewey Soriano, any guy named Dewey's got to have a story, right? Right, Dewey. He was a former pitcher for the minor league team in Seattle and general manager, and was president of the Pacific Coast League, which was the top AAA league on the West Coast. And there was a pursuit of putting a baseball team in Seattle. In fact, the Cleveland Indians, now, in the Guardians, they thought about a move in 1964 for a few years about moving out there. Charles Finley thought about taking the Kansas City Athletics to Seattle. He ended up going to Oakland. Of course, now they're going to move to Las Vegas. But Dewey Soriano emerged, even though he never really had the actual cash that he told people he would have. So as Major League Baseball thought about putting a team in Seattle, Dewey went out to find partners. William R. Daley, who owned the Cleveland Indians at one time, he became a 47% holder of the franchise. And off things went. The team was announced to play their initial season in the 1969 year. Well, then Major League Baseball expanded, and the American and National League had 12 teams each. And in that World Division alignment, they would play out in the American League West. From day one, though, there were issues, even though the thought was the American League West would be the easier matchup there. The favorable alignment they thought would help the team get off to a pretty good start. They told Major League Baseball about the cash flow that they had, and it wasn't an exact number. You see, Dewey Soriano didn't take on local investors, didn't get much corporate support, and there wasn't a ton of interest initially. In fact, Chris, when the Seattle Pilots were going to play their first season, leading up to the start of the year, they had no local TV deal. Nor did they have one when the year began. People couldn't watch the new baseball team in Seattle play. It was a struggle to get games on. Well, that led to lack of attention, which also led to bad attendance, which also meant more financial problems. Sick Stadium in Seattle was a good minor league baseball stadium. But you see, Dewey Soriano told Major League Baseball owners, no, we're going to build this thing up. It'll be a 30,000-seat stadium. Now, you got to remember, back in the 50s and 60s, owners of pro teams at owner meetings It was about eating and drinking and, talking about different league issues, but they trusted other owners. Dewey Soriano never had support in Seattle to build the stadium that he promised people. He thought, I'd have no problem generating interest once you get the team here, but that didn't happen. The stadium renovation plans and plan never materialized, and the team never really drew well. The total attendance that year for the Pilots was 678,000. They finished 20th out of 24 teams in Major League Baseball. Their average attendance was 8,268. Heck, the Marlins and Rays would kill for that most of the time. But it was a problem, and they knew it. There was no effort to save the team when it came to the stadium situation. The issue of getting games on TV was a big problem. The team was certainly underfinanced. Heck, many people assumed that Dewey Soriano was cutting side deals just to meet payroll and for operating expenses for the team. By the end of the season, the Pilots were simply out of gas and out of money. Daly refused to put in more money to help the team when it came to its expenses, and they weren't going to survive. In the summer of that 1969 season, the commissioner's office knew what was going on and did their own research and found out that by early as June of that year, the team was going to run out of money. Meanwhile, in Milwaukee, searching for a baseball team of his own, was one man that owned a bunch of car dealerships. He made a phone call one day to Dewey Soriano and said, look, I know you got problems and it may not work there. I'm interested. And Dewey said, well, I'll keep you in mind. He eventually called him back. They had discussions privately for a few months. That person was Bud Selig. Eventually, Selig convinced Dewey Soriano to sell the team. It happened during Game 1 of the World Series when the two agreed to a deal for $10.8 million. Bud Selig made it clear the team was going to move from Seattle to Milwaukee. The initial deal was turned down by the other remaining owners in Major League Baseball. Two Washington senators said, no, we're not losing this team. A local theater chain owner, Fred Dan, stepped forward with other local business people to try to buy the team, certainly buy Daily Stakeout. The $10 million deal to keep the team in Seattle looked like it was going to be saved in December. But that deal quickly fizzled because part of it was a loan from the Bank of California that wasn't going to happen. Eventually, that deal fell apart. Bud Selig came in, made his offer again, saying, I'm here to buy this team. In January of 1970, a nonprofit group stepped forward to buy the team. That nonprofit group was a subsidiary of the ownership group of the Green Bay Packers, which to this day is still owned by shareholders of the team. That also fell apart. Bankruptcy happened. Soriano and Daly lost basically everything. Couldn't make payroll. By the way, in 1970, this is all going on. Selig had not closed the deal to buy the team. They were set to go to spring training in Tempe, Arizona, with no money. New manager Dave Bristol arrived in Tempe, Arizona, and was told that there likely was not enough expenses to get through not spring training, but the week ahead. The league stepped in. They stripped Soriano and Daly of any ownership of the Pilots, and Major League Baseball took control of the team. They were going to guarantee they would get through spring training. Meanwhile, Bud Selig's team was sitting there waiting, his team of investors and his dollars. Once they went to bankruptcy, it pretty much put him in position as the only guy to step forward. Major League Baseball realized that Selig was the best choice to move the team to Milwaukee. Bud's idea was to change the team's colors to navy and red to honor what had been the minor league team Brewers in Milwaukee, which he loved that team growing up. But the timing of the move, Major League Baseball said you can't change colors. And to this day, the only reason why the Brewers are those colors is because when Selig bought the team in 1970, he inherited the Pilots' colors and never changed them. In fact, it happened so late that the Pilot uniforms couldn't be changed in time to start the season. In fact, when Topps came out with their baseball cards in 1970, it wasn't the Milwaukee Brewers. It was the Seattle Pilots, because that's what the team was at the time that Topps took pictures of all the players. Selig tried to change the team's colors in a couple of years, but was told by Major League Baseball, no, And again, to this day, it's why the Brewers have the colors that they have. Well, Milwaukee embraced its new baseball team. Seattle's one season of the Pilots was a disaster. Yes, they would get a baseball team back. And I think that guy, Griffey Jr., was a big part of the success that they had, and maybe some big left-hander named Randy Johnson. Folks in Seattle don't have many good things to say about the Pilots, and you can do a deeper dive to realize just how bad it was. There were weeks that players and coaches didn't get paid, eventually did get paid. There were trips that the team made that they weren't sure the hotel bill was getting paid. Now, you flew on planes, but there was the idea about, we could take a bus to some cities, quickly shot down by the Players Association of Major League Baseball. That's how bad it was for Dewey Soriano. He tried his best, refused to take on investors, didn't have a local TV deal when the team's first year began. Could you imagine that happening in these days? And Milwaukee benefited. But you go back and think about it, the Indians almost moved there. The A's almost moved there. The Packers subsidy almost bought the team. And Bud Selig, the successful car salesman, ended up getting a great deal and bought the team into bankruptcy. He would go on to become a commissioner of baseball, somewhat controversial. And the Seattle Pilots no longer exist. And the Mariners obviously came along and had success. That's to look back at what happened to the Seattle Pilots for the 1 year they played in Seattle and what happened to that team. That's today's history lesson. We're back to put a wrap on the Thursday show next.
Time for the latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
Breaking news from the UFL, they're changing their overtime rule, which benefited Orlando in beating Louisville. Had that taste. Dean Blandino on the rule change.
Change to make the game better. So here's what's changing with our overtime rule. If the defense fouls during a try that's no good, the ball goes to the 1. If they foul again on any other try at any point during overtime, the ball goes to the half-yard line. If they foul again, it goes to the quarter, and so on and so on. The penalty makes it easier for the offense to score, but it doesn't automatically award a score. If you want to win, you got to get the ball in the end zone, not rely on your opponent to commit a foul.
This is what I want. I want the ball at the 1/16th line, and I want the measurement to show me. I don't want some old guy with a foot. Okay, I'm telling you right now. And by the way,
what about Gene Steratore with an index card?
I respect the UFL and anybody that says, hey, maybe it's a bad rule, let's change it. So I got no problem. And that's what these leagues should do. But now I want the measurement. I want someone to be at the 1/16th yard line, the 1 to the half to the quarter. Look, I want it. I want it. Let's go. I want it, and I want it marked, and I want to see the difference of where it was before. Yep.
There's no difference.
I want a team to commit 9 penalties in a row, like just tackle every wide receiver and see how far we can get that ball marked. That's what I want. Yeah.
I mean, I can, again, I'm like you, I appreciate the rule change, but he kind of went over the top of the explanation, so on and so on. You can only move the ball so far.
Hang on. There you go.
Easier for the offense to score, but it doesn't automatically foul again on any good. The ball goes to the 1.
And
if
then
they foul again on any other try at any point during overtime, the ball goes to the half-yard line. If they foul again, it goes to the quarter, and so on and so on.
Do we need the so on and so on?
I want so on. I'm all in. I mean, if you give me so on, I'll watch every game the rest of the year. I would promote it. The home of so on. It's what I would do. Yeah. So on happens here.
That's actually a great slogan.
Yeah. So
that is
on happens
fantastic.
here.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Dean Blandino, make it happen. So on happens here. By the way, Louisville, we're not giving the win back.
That is, oh my
it for
God, that
today.
is awesome.
Miss any of the program, go where you get your favorite podcast and type in the Beat of Sports on Demand. You can go back and watch the show. Go to our YouTube page, 96 in the game. Orlando, click on the logo and the live button. You can watch the video at your convenience as well. Chris Produce, have a good day, Chris.
You too, Mark.
And so on. We'll see you tomorrow on the Beat of Sports.